After the recent financials by Microsoft, a lot of people are understandably a little bit nervous about the future of Xbox. I would like to say that, hey, everything will be fine, everything is going to be great, but to be honest with you, I got to be honest and say that this is just something that's not necessarily accurate. I don't think anything's going to happen, obviously, this generation, and I can be honest and say why. And one of the reasons why I think that this generation will probably just continue on the way that it has is that Microsoft doesn't care if you're an Xbox Series X or S owner or if you're an Xbox One owner. And there's still probably a good number of Xbox One owners out there in the world. And you could look at that as two different ways. You can look at it and go, Microsoft hasn't given us enough to make those people upgrade. And, people just kind of stood pat with what they have, because let's just be real. What games have Microsoft put out that are current gen only, that are just like must-have games? Like, I might say Starfield, but that's probably not enough to make somebody drop, hundreds of dollars on a new console, obviously. So I think that that's kind of a double-edged sword for Microsoft, where, they didn't exactly go out of their way to give people great content at the beginning of the generation. So that is super unfortunate. And, the other part is maybe that could be for the best, because I don't know if Microsoft really looks at generations the way that we do, or the way that we used to anyway, meaning, it's basically, it is 100% the same UI, the same controller, the same everything, just one slightly better. Just look at it as maybe like PC-like, where, you're not really, you might not be getting the prettiest graphics or the best frame rate, but you can still play, pretty much most of the games, and then obviously, there's going to be some changes in there, but clearly Xbox console sales are tanking, which is why we see that that's kind of actually happening with them bringing more games to PlayStation. And according to Jez Gordon from Windows Central, he said that there's probably not a line drawn that they will probably even bring over Halo, Gears, Forza, whatever, that there's no cap on what they will bring over, and that probably likely will happen at some time. Does that mean that it will happen for sure? No, but, he's saying that there's a probability of that. So obviously, after months of debate about the future of Xbox and some of its big exclusives, after they jump ship, there's a clear evidence yet why Microsoft experimenting with a new multi-platform approach, and fewer and fewer people are buying Xboxes because of it. Now, there's a big rumor coming from the rumor mill that this is one of the main reasons that Microsoft is very unhappy right now. So, of course, on the outside, they're going to be looking and going, oh, yeah, we don't care. That's fine. Don't buy our Xbox. We've been telling people not to buy an Xbox. They can play wherever. Every screen's an Xbox. But I can tell you right now, they didn't, from what we're hearing, they didn't expect such a drastic decline in overall Xbox sales. And the main reason why this is happening is because we live in a world where everybody's connected to some kind of social media, right? Whether you're on TikTok or whether you're on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, a lot of people are very aware of the jokes. People are saying Xbox is the next Dreamcast. I've been into GameStop several times where this has been brought up, and they've compared Xbox to Dreamcast. So people are very much wary and uncertain about the future of Xbox. So they obviously announced that the Series X and S revenue was down 30%, and it blamed a nosedive on lower volume of consoles sold. It's basically the same thing that happened last year with a 30%. So they lost 30% on top of losing 30%. Obviously. So in February, Grand Theft Auto 6 parent company Take-Two claimed in a presentation to investors that there were roughly 77 million Generation 9 consoles. It didn't take fans long to do the math and speculate that Microsoft has only sold around 25 million consoles to date. It puts it ahead of the GameCube, but behind the Nintendo 64. And given the results of the quarter, it doesn't seem like Game Pass and Starfield have moved the needle very much. Again, people were taking the Take-Two thing a little bit too literally, I think, because they're just going to do guessing. I more or less look at what Microsoft did. They did a Brazilian indie game show, and they had slides that came out that were leaked out that they had 21 million sold as of last July. And so if they've been selling an average of 270,000 units per month, and of course they did do the big month in December, you would look at somewhere around the 23-24 million range right now. So Obviously, this things could change with Call of Duty. I don't know for sure. I think that's a good way to sort of look at things. We'll see, I guess, just exactly how big Call of Duty is, if that's a driver to what Microsoft will be able to do to get people out there. One of the things that I honestly don't like, and that I'm kind of looking at this and I'm going, this is really weird. That Microsoft never advertises their console. They never advertise their games. Like, we are literally 23 days away from Hellblade 2, and there's not a single commercial. There's not really anything going on about this game. So, I mean, presumably this is your big game. This is your first game drop of the year for Microsoft. You haven't dropped anything on Xbox in 8 months. Shouldn't you be advertising it a little bit? I don't know. So, obviously, Microsoft owns Call of Duty now. A lot of the Activision Blizzard stuff, nothing has really come to Xbox yet. They've owned them for half a year. Diablo 4 just arrived on it and apparently was a big hit, but did it spike subscriptions or anything? I don't really know. It's hard saying because that game launched last year and sold very well right out of the gate, so really hard saying. Sea of Thieves, the last of 4 games to initially come to the PS5, has dominated the PlayStation Store's top sellers, thanks to pre-orders. And of course, CEO Satya Nadella specifically called this out, noting that Microsoft had more games in the top 25 than any other publisher. And he mentioned that they're going to meet players where they are, bringing great games to more people on more devices. So if players there continue to flock to live service, Pirate Sim, it's not hard to imagine Microsoft bringing another batch of its first-party exclusives to the platform. While that means more, whether that means more recent blockbusters like Starfield or Indiana Jones, that remains to be seen. But however, even if the Xbox Series X and X sales have gone from bad to worse, Microsoft has made it clear that it's not abandoning hardware, and they promise the next console will be the biggest technical leap. But again, and maybe that's true. Maybe they go, hey, we can continue to, maybe this is their thinking, right? We can continue to not sell our consoles, but, as long as we've got all these other things going, we're making a lot of money and we continue to take a loss, whatever the case may be. But I think the thing that they're really upset about internally is the less console sales you have, the less opportunity you have to recoup money through game sales, microtransactions, and obviously through subscriptions. So I think that there is that thinking as well. So I don't know. We'll see. Let me know how you guys think about this, though. How do you guys feel about the tanking sales of Xbox and, in general, the likelihood of what's going to happen? Like I said, this generation will roll on fine. They'll come out with a new console at some point. Will they continue to support that afterwards? If it does like a Dreamcast type sales or Wii U type sales, I think that's up for debate, because a lot of this does ring true and coincide with what they did with the Windows Phone, which was they came out with Windows Phone. They bought a bunch of, they bought Nokia, spent billions of dollars, had a bunch of apps and things like that. Came out with this badass Windows Phone with a great screen and the best camera available at the time. Next thing you know, closed everything down. So, yeah, I mean, anything can happen. Very curious to hear what you guys think, though. Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.